You good?
Yep.
Good afternoon, Coach. Thanks for joining us. I know we're nearing the end of camp here. Give us a little bit of what the last week has been like, and then we'll open up for questions.
Okay, yeah, so we adjusted obviously our schedule for Taj's funeral, obviously Saturday, so moving up the Fan Fest and the scrimmage to tomorrow. And so we started this week really trying to focus on, after evaluating the scrimmage Saturday, where looking at some guys, we called it moving day to see if guys moved up or moved down. Really try to start focusing on guys in the positions that they've earned, and really doing a lot of situational football as far as third down, red zone, 2-minute, etc. Really trying to focus on that, and then try to narrow down some of the competitions that are still going on, especially at the quarterback position. Trying to, if you've got 4 guys competing, cut it down to 3 or cut it down to 2. That was our goal and focus this week, and made some good progress the last few days as a team, and I think we're heading in a good direction. Obviously, still dealing with some of the challenges that we are. It's been challenging to say the least to try to navigate both sides of that issue, but I think our team's handled it and adjusted it the best that you could ask them to do as we continue to move forward to get ready for tomorrow, and then once school starts Monday, and then get ready for our first opponent.
You feel like one side of the ball is further along than the other?
I think I think everybody's had their days a little bit. I think as a whole, probably defensively is ahead, just from a standpoint of D-line, linebacker, secondary. There's some impact players at all levels there. I think from an offensive standpoint, we've had some, when you're trying to determine your quarterback, that slows you down a little bit from developing as much as you want to, because you're trying to figure out who's going to sort of be that guy. And then we've had some injuries there on the offensive side of the ball that is negated maybe some of the growth that you'd like to see because of the injuries, and having to whether that's slow down and install, or you have certain guys that are in positions that normally they wouldn't be, but they have to be. And so I would say if you ask that right now, they're probably ahead overall, but we've had some good battles last few days as far as when we competed in offense and defense going against each other, and that's going to help harden us and get us ready for what's to come.
Willie had mentioned when we spoke with him on Tuesday that it was fairly even with quarterbacks, and how there's some virtues with all of them. How close are you guys to separating that down and having more clarity on that?
Well, I think we've discussed a lot, where we're at, what the quarterbacks have done to this point. One of them needs to really take that step consistently wise. There's some good things and you get excited about, and then there's some things like we can't do that, and every time it seems like somebody's ready to sort of take it, they maybe do some things that gives you a little bit of pause. Hey, are they ready to be the guy that's going to take care of the ball and do those things? We've obviously narrowed it down, from a standpoint of the number of reps that people are getting now than what they were last week. And so we've limited to who's doing that. So we've taken that step. And then, through this week, the rest of tomorrow, and then early next week, we've got a couple practices early next week before we really get into our game plan for our first opponent. We'll get it narrowed down and internally have an idea from that. So I would love to see the people that are battling for it. I'd really love to see just the consistency day to day and really take that step and be that guy. I think we're close to that. And as I said, our plan, our hope is to stick with the guy, because I think that's. I was a backup quarterback, and so I know how that goes when if the guy's in there and you think you're looking over your shoulder. So we're trying to avoid that so they can feel confident what they're doing. They also got to go earn that and take that. So we'll see how it goes here. It's up to them a lot too.
Do you envision a scenario where at the scrimmage tomorrow you gain more clarity and separation, and after obviously Saturday and going through that, maybe having an answer next week, or do you see this playing out next week?
Tomorrow will be a little. There'll be some scrimmage in there. There'll be a lot of some practice things too that we need to do that we sort of got behind on a little bit, and so. I think when we first started this, it was going to be maybe a full-blown scrimmage. It's not going to be that as much now. There'll be some scrimmage times, but still some individual things, some team stuff that we need to work on. And we're not going to make a decision based off what happens tomorrow. It's going to be a culmination of up to this point. And so, if somebody goes out and does really well today and tomorrow, and maybe somebody else is not as consistent, that's going to help, make that final determination. But we'll do it based off a culmination and where we see how we want to go and who's going to help us get to that point. It's been good. All 4 guys that have been getting tons of reps have really encouraged each other and have done, well at times. And so that's a positive. I think we've got a good group back there that want each other to do well. Now, once you make that decision, will that attitude stay the same? That's the key.
How do you feel about the overall execution of the offense right now, though? Just watching, and I know I think it was Coach Isaac the other day mentioned some fumble issues in running back room, and just the injuries you mentioned already, and just the overall execution that you've seen so far.
It's obviously not where you'd like for it to be. I think at this point in time, part of that is because you're trying to determine some key spots. When the ones go out there, and maybe it's 3 different quarterbacks 3 different times just to try to get that makes it challenging. We have a lot of guys that are giving phenomenal effort, and so at all positions, when you give effort, sometimes when you're trying to give all that effort, sometimes you forget some little details and some of those things. So when we are executing pretty well, we're moving the ball the way I hope we can, but we're inconsistent in that. And so thankfully we still have some time. I've lost count of practices. I think today's 13. So you got to think of it. We're 2 practices away basically from a spring ball, and so we're 15 in, and we're way better now at 13 than we were at 1. Doesn't mean it's where we need to be prepared for a season, but I think the execution consistently, no matter what the circumstance or situation, is where we're not at. When we do execute, I like what we're doing. We're just not consistently doing that, and there's some reasons for that. We're juggling O-line. We're, as I said, juggling some receivers, and we've had some just guys banged up a little bit. So it makes it hard to be crisp all the time. But we'll get there.
Have you been able to get a good read on the defense as a result of some of those things that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think our challenge defensively. I think the attitude. I think the effort. The mentality that they choose to play with, I think, is what you want. I think the biggest, concern as coaches have right now is we have to have an attitude that no matter what the circumstances are, we show up and play. If the offense turns the ball over and we're backed up, you got to go get the ball back, right? And not worry about circumstances we can't control. Just show up and play and have that mentality, that defensive mentality. And so that's the biggest improvement we need to make. Beyond the technique and things, it's just that mentality. Like the effort's there, the want to's there. Now just quit worrying about things that we can't control and go play. That's the biggest challenge I think that we have to overcome there. And then from a purely football perspective, I think it's just developing some depth. I think we've got some good players. We've just got to have the guys behind them raise their games up because you got to rotate a lot. And we're still fighting through those battles there to see who that's going to be a little bit. Or can they consistently do it?
Go to John online.
Hey, Coach, looking at your defensive line, a lot of young faces, new faces in that room. Have there been any guys that have kind of stepped forward and maybe surprised or impressed you and Coach McGee so far in camp?
Obviously TJ Bush was here in the spring, but he's going to play a lot as a freshman. He's going to contribute, and he's got a chance to be really good. Larry Jones, who just got here this summer, he'll find a role somewhere. He's not doesn't understand everything completely yet, but I think you'll see him play a lot. And then Brian Whitehead, junior college transfer that just got here, he'll play a lot as well. They both can get after the passer, still learning, how to practice and do the different things and the consistency, but they both have some talent, especially rushing the quarterback, that once they figure those things out, will be very productive for us.
And same question for you at linebacker. You got a few returns there, Tyron and Jerome, and then also Shike's coming in as a new guy. How have those guys kind of blended in and gelled at that position?
Well, I think Tyron and Jolly have done a nice job for us. Tyron is our key over there. He's had a fantastic attitude. He leads the defense. He doesn't ever loses his cool. He stays as cool as a cucumber no matter what situation. He's been tremendous for us. Chike's brought some good things for us. Nick Day is another guy we brought in. All of them are going to have a role from there. Akil, Washington's there, who's a solid player. So I like her. I like the group that we have. We have to get more consistency from most of that group when they're in there. The guys that maybe haven't played as much, but they need to take that next step. I think they need to do that. Joe Carter has had a tremendous fall camp. Obviously, he earned a scholarship. Not yesterday, but that's when he was presented with it. But he's earned it since the time that we got here, and just Joe's a guy that. All right, can we find somebody better? Find somebody better. And he just keeps showing up and doing his job. And he, if you look up a flame in the dictionary, it's his picture. And then I would look up Rick James. I look just alike. And we call him the super freak because of that. But it's a good group. Got to raise their game. But those guys we brought in have been good supplements to that. But they need to take another step. So there's complete confidence when they're in there. We're not taking a step back from the guys that are in there at the beginning.
How was the offensive line adjusted, especially with the news that you shared with us a week or so ago about Brandon being out for the year?
Well, that's tough. You had a guy that they played with a long time. Majority of those guys have played with a long time, and then obviously then you go through that and them adjusting to that, and then 3 days later, obviously with Taj, and so they've been through a lot, that group. And the O-line typically is your tightest knit group on your team. They do everything together, and so they hurt for their brother there, obviously, but they've rallied around. He's been tremendous. Now he's going to go make money, be a real estate guy, but he's coaching with us right now. I think that's his calling, actually. He did a fantastic job as far as just still being out there encouraging the young guys, and they already obviously had extra motivation to want to play, this season, but with not having Brennan out there, they want to play for him as well because, this was his last time. Came back for his last year and then is going to miss a significant amount of time. So, but we've adjusted, put different people at different places, move them around to find out what's the right fit for us. But I think they've embraced that, and we're starting to gel up there with the guys that we feel can prepare and play for us this year. Because he went down because of some other injuries that we've had some of those young freshmen come in and have to get meaningful reps, and excited about some of them. And I think you'll see some of them maybe have to play this year a little bit, but the future for those guys. So it's going to be I believe it should be, our most consistent group up there. And hopefully when surgery goes well for Brandon and everything comes back, we get him back there to just add to that down the line. It's going to be a grow and learn process for some of those guys, but I do think they've gotten better and better.
With the freshmen that you mentioned playing on the offensive line, and then when John asked his question about the defensive line, it's the same thing. How do you adjust the desire to get them to the college size with the fact that you can't maybe go all out lifting all the time because they're trying to get prepared to play games?
Well, there's a difference, obviously, when you come in, and just it might not be their how tall they are, their weight, but the strength and the different things that they need to be consistent at this level. And to the players' credit, and Aaron Fenimore and Austin Anderson, they're both rotating with the twos. They're getting tons of reps right now. Cal Grubbs, who also came in, is a guy that's in rotation. So those three guys are part of that freshman class, and they all work extremely hard. They all care about football, and they're doing everything they can to put themselves in that position. And it is what it is, and those guys understand that their number might be called. And to their credit, they've worked hard through this and try to put them in a session where they can come play.
So I think go back to the O-line, Xavier Gatlin was at right guard a little bit the other day in practice. Is that just kind of an easy switch to make with a veteran like that? And where are some of the other changes up there?
Yeah, I think what you're, with him, Xavier can play any position, and we've repped him at center as well, just in case something happens. But with the depth issues we have there, we feel like we might have some tackles that can play and move Xavier inside to the guard to solidify where Brennan got hurt. And so that was, once that happened, we started looking around and, hey, where do we need to put him? And that was a move that we thought we could do. We put Harry inside as well, who's been playing tackle. We moved him inside as well, guard, and he's gotten better there. So we're trying to put ourselves in a position where guys can play multiple positions in case, the worst thing happens and you lose guys to injury, that, we're not called. Because we know we got young freshmen, but we know they're going to hit a wall at some point. So we got to get the guys that have been here, try to get them to play as many local positions and learn it in case something does happen.
Anything else for Coach? All right, Coach, thank you for your time today.
Let me say this too. We've had, and I want to, we've had the Washington Commanders reach out to us and send us something. University of Virginia, Coastal, University of Oregon, FIU, New Mexico State, sent us some things during this time frame. We're very appreciative of them for doing that. I just wanted to let them know that it means a lot to our team, means a lot to us, our staff personally, just for thinking about us. There's a lot of things going on for them to take the time to send some things. Army as well, don't forget Army as well, to do that. That means a lot to Liberty football, and we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach.